What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame Show powered by BetUS. Today, your Portland Trail Blazers played a hell of a game, but lost off a Mikal Bridges buzzer-beating three to send the Blazers home losers in this one. Maybe the game of the year for the Blazers. 42 lead changes is the most in a single NBA game this season. This was back and forth and very competitive throughout this game. A game that saw it head into overtime. And, the final score looks like a normal final score, man, but this was a low-scoring defensive battle between these two teams that New York got the last laugh in. They're one of the best teams in the league, and even though they were missing Jalen Brunson, good teams just find ways to win games, man, and the Blazers just find ways to lose games against good teams, man. It's just the story of the season so far. A lot of games you can look back on this season that the Blazers probably should have won in crunch time and came up short. This one's one of them. The Blazers have Donovan Clingan switch on to Mikal in the final seconds. Mikal gets enough space, hits a three. We're going to talk about that decision. Should we blame Chauncey for that personnel? Should it have been different personnel in there? We're also going to talk about the Scoot, Sharp, Kamara, Avdia, Clingan lineup that we got to see in crunch time. Kamara fouls out in overtime, so then we get Anthony Simons. We get a three-guard lineup, Eric, in crunch time against a good team, something we had asked for, right? So there's a lot of fun, good things to talk about from this game. We're also going to take your calls in the second hour of the show. We're going to spend at least an hour recapping this on our own, and then we'll take your calls through our Discord. If you want to call into the show for the second half of the show, make sure you join our Discord. There's a link at the top of the description box below, along with all our socials. Eric, this was a rough loss for me, man. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm fine. Not that I wanted them to lose or anything, but really it doesn't matter. I think you can point to numerous things that went well in this game, a couple of uncontrollable things that happened, and then a couple of controllable things. And I'm excited to break it all down.
It's getting to the point where every time I start rooting for this team really hard to win a game, the worst thing possible happens. You know what I mean? This is a great, great tanking loss. This is as good of a tanking loss as you could ever hope for. And, I kind of got into the mode of losing would be good for this team because the lottery odds were 5 games out of the 10th seed. We're not going to make the play-in. And that's how I felt like going into this game. Keep it competitive. Let the young guys get their run. Test out the 3-guard lineup in crunch time maybe. We got to see all of that. Scoot getting touches at the end of the game. He has a great second half, a great fourth quarter. A lot of really good things in this game. And it was would have made for a great tanking loss. But then in overtime, man, it was I really wanted them to win this game. Even though, yes, it's not the best for lottery odds, I caught myself really rooting for this team to pull this one out. It would have been a great win at home with Scoot leading the way against a good, well-coached team that the Blazers have struggled to beat even when they're missing their best player. We've seen the Cavs without Donovan Mitchell, the Celtics without Jason Tatum, the Thunder without their whole starting lineup, right? And the Blazers lost all those games, Yeah, they didn't have Brunson, but this would have been a great win for this team to finally beat an above 500 team. It's been a while since they've done that, and they were right there, right there. And, of course, Mikal Bridges hits that fadeaway falling three. When he shot that ball, I knew it was going in, man. That's just the type of shot teams will hit against us. You know what I mean? That's just the type of stuff that seems to happen to the Blazers, unfortunately. But also, you got to find a way to run them off the three-point line as well, so we can talk about the defensive game plan there on that final possession. But man, it's every time I go into a game man, maybe they do have a chance at the play-in if they could win this game, or in this overtime, really rooting for this team. Every single time I freaking do it, they find a way to lose, even if they have the odds in their favor. And they had the odds in their favor. You have a 2-point lead with 3 seconds left. You should at least be able to force another overtime, but they can't. So I guess I'm a curse.
Yeah, so what is that? Just because Scoot had a good game? Because last game you were saying you were done rooting for them to win.
I mean, I didn't... Yeah, that's how I felt last game, and then this game I felt myself rooting for him, man. I don't know what I want anymore. I guess the silver lining is it's good for the tank. You know, it's not like we're battling for playoff positioning and we don't have our first round pick like the Phoenix Suns. You know what I mean? At least we got our own pick if it's in the lottery, and it does help the lottery odds. But I don't know. It was just the energy inside Moda. You had a lot of Knicks fans there. Knicks fans screaming deuce every time he made a three kind of annoyed me. Like, you never want to let an opposing fan base come in and invade your turf. You know, we see it with the Lakers. Now that the Knicks are good again, we see it with the Knicks. So, you know, that was part of it. But then also just the young guys, man. You got Sharp playing crunch time minutes. You got Scoop playing crunch time minutes. They actually sat Ant. So I'll applaud Chauncey for that. Ant struggled throughout this game. And Chauncey went to the young guys. And we had that core lineup in that has barely played together this year with Scoot, Sharp, Kamara, Avdia, and Klingon. That 5-man group and just how hard they were playing, I wanted them to win this game. You know, it was a great atmosphere inside Moda. Unfortunately, we can't say that about every game anymore, but it was a great atmosphere inside Moda, and it was one of those things where I thought this would have been good for the young guys to pull this game out, especially Avdia. They go to him for a final second bucket. He gets blocked, but fights through it, gets the and one on the second effort. Like, this team battled hard in this game, and yeah, it kind of sucks. Kind of feel for them losing this one the way they did it.
Yeah, for sure. It reminded me a lot of the Korkmaz game where you had a young Anthony Simons hit a game winner with a couple seconds left, and then we don't switch out of bounds play at the end, and they get a 3-point shot to win and kind of ruin what would have been, you know, a really cool moment for the team at the time. So same kind of feeling in my mind for this game, where you have the awesome performance by Scoot in the fourth that basically gets us back in the game. And then, you have Denny shot in the overtime. And, it really felt like we could have looked back on this game as like a major stepping stone. And hopefully they still take it that way, because I don't think they should hold their heads down or anything like this after this loss. I think you can still build a lot of the positivity from this game. You're muted.
Oh, man. Already make a mistake. The Blazers made too many mistakes. That's a segue. Too many turnovers in this game for the Blazers, man. It was brutal. Let me pull up the team stats here. We'll take a look at the team stats. You know what's funny is we haven't mentioned the turnovers yet, but the chat AI summary on YouTube said the people are praising Scoot's performance and criticizing the team's turnovers. So that's how you know it's paying attention to chat and not us, because we haven't mentioned the turnovers. But oh my goodness, look at the turnovers, Eric. Look at the freaking turnovers.
14 at halftime. 14. I took a picture of it.
25 turnovers. They scored 31 points off turnovers. That's insane, man. This game, it was funny because Denny was super efficient, rebounding well, doing a lot of good things in the first half, but also had like 6 turnovers. And it's just, man, he ended off last game turning over the ball a lot. He started off this first half turning over the ball a lot. That's the one thing that'll hold Denny back from maybe getting more touches and getting more of a role and more volume of shots is if he can't take care of the ball. To be a guy that has the ball in your hands all the time, you can't turn it over 6 times and a half. So he's very aggressive, and he pushes the issue, and he plays with a lot of physicality, and he likes to drive through traffic. And he also tries to play unselfish as well and make the right pass. That play style at times will be prone to high turnover games, but that's just something where he has to figure out how to reel that in and not turn over the ball as much, because that's the only reason this game was close. The Blazers had 21 offensive rebounds despite making 44% of their field goals. Normally when you see a team with at least 20 offensive boards, they're shooting below 40% from the field. And the reason they have so many offensive boards is because they're missing so many shots. But you shoot 44% from the field, 40% from 3, and you get 21 offensive rebounds. That's massive. That's
It's a team that
insane.
doesn't give up offensive rebounds.
Yeah, like this entire game was just absolutely insane. There's some stuff we got to recap that happened late that we'll get to. That was crazy, but 42 lead changes, highest for a game in the league. And then 21 offensive boards, 25 turnovers, 16 for 25 from the free throw line is abysmal. Just a wild stat sheet here. Go ahead.
I don't know if this is true or not, but someone said that NBA record for lead changes is 43 in a game. So yeah.
So if we forced Mikal Bridges to score a 2 instead of a 3, we could have made history. We could have made history today. I mean, that's crazy too, and only one overtime. This was just basically neither team got out to a big lead this entire game. There was not a single double-digit lead in this game. The Knicks led by as much as 8. The Blazers led by as much as 5.
Yeah, they said it was the most this season when it was at 37. So
yeah, blew that out of the water.
It was 42. That's crazy.
Yeah, this is one of the games of the year in the NBA, especially with the way it finished. Unfortunately, not many people probably got to see it because it's late on the West Coast. But man, just a wild stat sheet here. Got to take better care of the ball. But this just shows you how they fought. 21 offensive rebounds. It's not like the Knicks are a bad rebounding team last I checked. So
I think they're the best in the league at defensive rebounding.
yeah, and you're able to get 21 offensive boards when you don't even shoot terribly? That's phenomenal. That just shows how this team was fighting in this game. This team was playing really hard. But also, you have more of the young guys playing in a game like this, Eric. That's part of the reason why the effort was so good. The effort is better when you're starting Avdia. Sharp's effort has been, a little bit better lately, right? But it's like Avdia, Klingon, Kamara, Scoot. Those are the Blazers' energy guys. And those 4 guys really brought the energy in this game and just played their asses off. Both sides of the floor, on the boards. And I think part of how hard they were playing is part of the reason why they had 25 turnovers. Sometimes you're forcing the issue too much. You're trying too hard to make a good play. And this team has a lot of ball handlers, but not a lot of shooting. It's a packed paint. Even though they shot the 3 ball well, they're driving into traffic a lot of times, and we saw that in this game, especially late. So,
yeah, the Knicks are a tough team to drive into the paint on, unless once you get to the rim, they don't have a lot of shot blocking and stuff like that. I guess Mitchell Robinson is back now, but he's still trying to get acclimated back into playing. But once you get to the rim, it's easy to score on them. But driving down the lane, they have so many guys who can swipe the ball, and that definitely was a factor tonight. The turnovers, a couple of really bad Chris Murray ones where he just I don't even know what he was doing on offense, and
I'll word this nicely. He's getting sillier and sillier by the game.
Yeah,
that's what I'll say, Ben.
Yeah, and then Denny. So, we had this conversation a few post-game shows ago where we were talking about him maybe getting the ball more in clutch time, and he outside of the one at the end of overtime, he just couldn't seem to score the ball or make the right play and not turn it over when he was given the chance to do that outside of that one play. I'm glad he got a chance to redeem himself, though. But he's just got to do a little bit better job of taking care of the ball. You can't have this many turnovers if you're going to be a playmaker. And, but overall, I think, like I said, there's a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with this team, too, that you're seeing, especially late there, and we'll thank Donos in a second. I know we got at least one. Part of the problem you're seeing with this team in crunch time is it's just a packed paint defensively. They don't have enough reliable shooting. And that might be a problem with their 5-man lineup going forward. That's the one weakness is, Scoot was shooting the ball well, but the ball's going to be in his hands. Sharp, he made 3 threes in this game, but he missed an absolutely wide open corner 3, the best potential 3-point look he could get in crunch time. And then Denny just wanted to go downhill too. And Tamani, he's not, a super high volume 3-point shooter. He can knock down threes, but he's not somebody that you'd rely on to hit a bunch of them. And then you got Clegan in the game. He's a big man that's going to stick around the rim. And it just felt like late in this game, the Blazers just kept trying to drive the ball down New York's throats, and they were getting stuffed at the rim, man. You got Mitchell Robinson blocking shots. Scoot got a shot blocked a couple times. One, he didn't even seem to get blocked. He just lost it out of bounds because he was smothered. And then Denny there late, even on the go-ahead bucket with 3.5 seconds left, he got blocked. You know what I mean? It's just you're driving into a packed paint, and that's what the Blazers wanted to do. And it's not like, all right, we got all this defense waiting us in the paint. Who are we kicking out to? The Blazers just kind of, Scoot and Denny especially, just kind of putting their head down and trying so hard to will their way to the rim or the free throw line. And I respect the aggressiveness, and I respect how hard they're trying to make a play. But it's something to learn from, right? You can't just put your head down and try and will your way to the win. I know these guys are super competitive. I think that's part of it, right? They're trying so hard to make a play, so hard to get to the rim. They both trust themselves in terms of how strong they are. They were both having good scoring games, right? But sometimes you just got to make the simple play. You got to make the kick out pass when you're driving into multiple defenders, especially in crunch time when the refs are going to let more go. There was a couple of plays there late where, yeah, maybe the Blazers could have gotten a foul call in their favor. Maybe they should have gotten a foul call in their favor. I thought the refs were kind of weird in this game. I'm not going to say they were bad. I'll say they're bad. I thought the refs were bad in this game. But the problem with trying to just drive at the rim late in the game is you're not going to get as many calls late in the game. The refs are going to swallow their whistles more, and defenses are going to be more intense, man. The game's on the line, so they're going to rotate faster. They're going to be a little bit more physical. It's a lot harder to win games off just repeatedly driving at the rim. Defenses are going to load up on that, and if you can't make the right pass out of that, you're really going to struggle in crunch time. And I think that's part of the reason why the Blazers have had some struggles in crunch time, on top of missing a couple open threes like Sharp did, right? And Uprise a couple of games ago missed a wide open three as well. So that's the good thing about close games right now, is it's a good learning experience for Denny having the ball in his hands, right? That's why I wanted the ball in Denny's hands late in games, is so he could get that experience late in a game trying to make the right play. If he fails, he learns from it, right? So the Blazers had some struggles offensively at times in crunch time in this game. It's a learning experience for Scoot. He had a great game, but still, he wasn't perfect, and there was a couple of plays there late where he tried to force the issue a little too much, and that's something for him to learn from too in a game that he played really, really good. That's why I said this is a really good tanking loss at the start of the stream. So, I think there's positives to take away from the negatives.
In the OT, in the fourth quarter, he got the bank three with under a minute left, and one 3-point play.
In OT.
In
OT.
And then he made both free throws. He drove and got fouled and made both free throws to tie the game at the end. So
it's almost like the Knicks adjusted to him doing that at the end of regulation, where they were just walling up at the rim even more there in overtime. Mm-hmm. So that's something that Scoot has to recognize for sure.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I mean, no one is ever going to make every play every time in clutch situations. So, I mean, you're going to succeed sometimes. You're not going to others. It's the famous quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? And it's just about learning from it. And, most teams, they could adjust, like you said, on the fly. Tom Thibodeau's certainly a coach that will adjust in the game, but they probably weren't prepared for Scoot to take over in the fourth quarter. They were probably thinking it's going to be Anthony Simons like normal, and so that's what's interesting when you leave Scoot in and leave Anthony on the bench, and he takes over and has a great fourth quarter. Now, will you see a different defensive coverage on you moving forward, or is it because it's the regular season, we're not a playoff team, teams won't care as much? It'll be interesting to see as defenses start to realize how good Scoot's been playing, how they try to stop him from doing what he does.
I mean, I think Scoot's a part of the game plan. He's the best scorer off the bench, one of the top 4 or 5 guys on this team, and teams definitely game plan for more than just Anthony Simons, more than just.
Yeah, I'm not saying they don't game plan for every player on the team. I'm saying that the focus of the defensive coverage once they start to switch to him being one of the main guys instead of a secondary scorer.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing too, it's not even necessarily game planning. You see somebody score however many points Scoot did in the fourth quarter, you're going to start really paying attention to it. You don't need a coach to tell you that. The dude's cooking you in the fourth quarter. And the dude's just, at the end of the game, it was he was just going to put his head down and get to the rim no matter what. No matter what. And it worked at the end of regulation, right? So good defenses will notice, man, this dude's just trying his hardest to get to the rim no matter what. I'm going to rotate a little bit harder next time to stop that. And see, if he can make the next play. And especially a good defense like that, they know how to rotate out of helping. So, that's the difference between regulation and overtime. I thought this game was funny, man. If the game couldn't get any crazier, the Knicks are up 1 with 7 seconds left. And it was ball went. I forget even how they got the ball on the baseline, but it wasn't a made shot. So you can't run the baseline. And Josh Hart, inbounding it under his own hoop, thinks he can run the baseline, basically, slide on the baseline, which you can do after a made bucket. You can't do off a normal inbounds. So he has an inbound violation because he basically traveled on the inbound pass with 7 seconds left, up 1. And then Denny gets the end one to go up 2, and then McHale hits the 3. This is just an absolutely crazy finish, absolutely crazy game. Yeah, absolutely crazy. I mean, these teams are tied at the end of 3, tied at the end of 4 to put it to overtime. And then the overtime, in 5 minutes, the Knicks outscored the Blazers in overtime 8-7.
Yeah. Yeah. When the Knicks went up 6 towards the end of the fourth, I thought that was going to be tough to overcome, but the Blazers somehow did it. Real quick, so there's some talk in chat about tanking and sitting players and stuff. The Jazz got fined because Lauri Markkanen qualified as a star player. I forget what the exact wording is, all-star appearances or all-NBA teams or something. If you make one of those in the previous how many ever years, you're designated as a star and you're held to certain standards in terms of having to play games and how your injuries are treated and stuff. And the Blazers don't have anyone.
Good thing we have no stars.
We have no stars qualify for stars, so we cannot. I mean, we could get fined for blatantly sitting someone, I guess, but the Blazers cannot be fined in the same way that the Jazz were because they don't have a player like Lauri that's designated as a star player. So it's kind of unfortunate for Utah, but that's how it is worded now. So yeah, he has to play in primetime games and certain games you can't just sit him out for rest or whatever.
Yep. Shout out to Monopoman with a $3.50 donation. I don't think we've ever had a $3.50 donation.
It's about Tree Fitty.
Tree Fitty says Scoot was giving me Dame flashbacks. Hey, Scoot was clutch at the end of regulation like Dame. Did it a little differently, banking in the 3 and then just putting his head down, getting to the rim. But he's really starting to use his strength on his drives and use his body well. I mean, this game just showcases his improvement, both from the 3-point line, but then also as a driver. That lay-in he had where he was going left towards the rim, powered up off a 2 around the shot blocker and finished with his left hand. He doesn't finish that way last year. He probably shoots a floater there or just throws his body into the defender. He doesn't power up, rearrange around the defender with his left hand and finish that. He was allergic to his left hand last year.
Yeah.
And he's gotten so much better with his ability to finish around the rim with his left hand. And it's not just basic layups because he would turn down he would shoot layups on the left side with his right hand, which sometimes that's the right move, but stuff that should have been easy left-handed layups on the left side, he would make much tougher by shooting it into the defense with his right. And now it's like, damn, all right, he just comfortably powers up, rearranges around the shot blocker with his left hand and finishes it like it's nothing. And we've seen some really impressive, crafty left-hand finishes from him this year. The growth he's made with his left hand has made it much easier for him to finish around the rim. And that's part of the reason why his rim percentage is up. There's still some work to be done, but, you know, the first thing is using his left hand. Earlier this year, I talked about Dame needing to use his body more on drives. You're starting to see that. Now, I don't know what the hell the layup he had on Mitchell Robinson was. I don't know what to call that, but it was good. You know,
it got him twisted in a pretzel.
That was like some Steve Nash stuff, going under the rim and then circling back and going under the rim again. You know, and for some reason they didn't collapse on him, right? He had the space to do that, I guess. But that was, I've never seen somebody make a move quite like that. So he's getting craftier. He's getting better with his left hand. His floater, his little runners, he's doing a good job of finishing right now. But then also he's using his body and using his strength a little bit more on drives. And I think as he continues to build a reputation for himself in a star-driven league, refs will start to give him more of those star calls. Because there's a lot of plays where it's like, man, if he was an all-star, he's getting that foul call and he's getting to the line. Now this game, he got to the line 10 times, only made 6 free throws. Got to make more of your free throws than that. Could have made the difference in a game like this. But I love the way he's driving and finishing right now. I love the way he's shooting the 3 ball. He had a couple down games shooting the 3. And it's really encouraging that he just doesn't have long sustained slumps right now. You know, he broke out of that little mini slump in a big way with this game, which is a really good sign.
Yeah, I like his determination and just his energy and the way he goes about driving. And it would be really easy for a lot of players to have come into the season pretty down on yourself, feeling like a bust, you know, because everyone's calling you a bust. And except for you, Tori, sorry. But like, you know, he had to hear a lot of the concerns and bus talk and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of people that wouldn't get up off the mat from that, you know. And so I think the fact that he still has that fire and that determination to be good, and obviously is putting in the work on both his shooting and his finishing, and is giving the effort on defense, which is one of my biggest concerns for him. He's definitely turned that around and into a positive thing for him, and just got to give him all the credit for you know, keeping determined mentally.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Stat line on the game, 10 for 16 from the field, 4 for 4 from 3, super efficient game, getting to the line 10 times, right? 16 shots, you got 30 points from him. And I think he missed a couple late. I think it was 10 for 14? I don't know. But just really took over that second half, in a half where the Blazers really needed somebody to step up and score because, you know, this was a high turnover game. They needed somebody to come in, take care of the ball, and make positive plays offensively, and Scoot came in and did that. Did have 3 turnovers to his 2 assists. More turnovers than assists, right? But when you're scoring 30 points efficiently, like, it's forcing the issue the way he was, especially in a game where we have 25 team turnovers, that is completely fine, you know? He was super efficient, really good in this game. I'm just... he's the biggest bright spot of the season for me right now. Just how he's improved upon the clear weaknesses he had last year. He's proving that he knows what to work on and he's working on the right things. And there's probably somebody on the coaching staff, you know, training him, whoever. There's probably somebody that also deserves some credit for helping him identify what he needs to work on and effectively improving at those things. But I mean, just overall, it's like everything I talked about being major areas that he needed to improve upon this season, I feel like he has. His pace is much better. The way he's using his body is much better. He's getting craftier. His ball handling. He had some rough moments in games lately, but he was really rough last year. He's tightened up his handle this year, and the left hand that I talked about, the jump shot. He's not shooting as many tough mid-range shots. The defensive intensity, like everything you could pinpoint is Scoot needs to improve at this, Scoot needs to improve at that. I can confidently say he's done a good job of it, improving at it, and I really have no, there's obviously things that he has to improve upon, but overall, given the season he had last year and given how he's played this year, there's really no negatives to take out of this season because I think he's on his way to being a really, really good player in this league. How good of a player, I don't know yet, but I have a lot more confidence in him being a really, really good player down the line because he's already having games like tonight where he was a really, really good player.
Mm-hmm. Nathan Rolfe with the Australian $8 donation. Do you think the bank was on purpose? The way he held the fall through made it look like more planned came out of his hands clearly too. No, it wasn't on purpose.
He'd be a maniac. He'd be a maniac if he tried to think that in on purpose. And listen, I mean, he kind of plays like a maniac, how hard he drives and how hard he's been playing lately. So I don't think he'd try and do that, though. I think it was just he was going to his right, so he wasn't fully square. And a lot of guys, in today's NBA where you have to shoot shots quick, you can't get squared on the floor. You got to get square in the air, so you got to jump and turn. And I just don't think he turned enough to get square, so that's why he missed it bad to the right, and it got lucky. Sometimes you deserve a little luck, right? It's funny. Basketball has a way of like when you're playing hard, when you're competing, has a funny way of rewarding you with like a lucky bounce here or there. So I'm just gonna chalk that up to karma from the basketball gods.
Yeah. And Anthony had one from about the same spot, just a few feet back, and he banked it hard off the backboard and didn't have the same luck.
Yeah,
that shot was way off.
Can we talk about that for a second? Because that kind of bothered me. So like Scoots was at the shot clock buzzer; he had to shoot it, right?
Yeah.
Ants was with what 10 on the shot clock?
Yeah, I think there was like 8 or 9. Yeah.
So Tamani fouls out and Ant gets subbed in for him. Props to Chauncey for being willing to play Scoot in crunch time, considering he had like 16 fourth quarter points or whatever it was. We've seen games where Scoot has been the best player on the floor and only played 25 minutes. So I guess we got to start somewhere. And a game like this tonight, yeah, he was finishing with the young guys, right? Now, he didn't have Jeremy Grant to play in crunch time. Maybe he probably would have over someone and found a way to screw it up. But he played with the young lineup we wanted to see. But then Kamara fouls out in overtime, and it's like, Ant's the right guy to bring off the bench in that situation. Who else are you going to bring into the game that's going to do anything, right? So, yeah. So that was a good opportunity to see how the three-guard lineup functioned when Sharp had been doing some good things in this game and Scoot had been going off and Ant had been the one kind of struggling. When he got subbed in, I was, it sucked to see Kamara foul out, but it was also something where I was excited to see how the three-guard lineup would function. And then, like, right after he gets into the game, Ant shoots a movement 3 off a handoff from, like, 6 feet behind the line with 10 on the shot clock cold and just bricks it off the backboard, man. And that is just such a bad shot. I talked about it last game, how, like, maybe him being aggressive and not looking to play make as much might be the best for his overall game as a scorer because that's what he is. But even if that's your mindset, man, you got to know what shots not to take. And that was like a perfect example of, man, this dude is super aggressive lately. And that shot was to a fault. You haven't had a good game. You're struggling. You're coming in. That's an insanely difficult shot, even if you're hot and you got 10 on the shot clock. Why are you shooting that, man? As a veteran, I know people say, oh, he's only 25. He's been in the league 7 years. You should have the awareness to not shoot that. So I was disappointed in that from Ant-Man. You know, I'll defend him from people that just want to hate on him. I think a lot of the criticism is too harsh. But at the same time, it's like there's no justification for that shot at that point, and that was really frustrating for me.
Yeah, there's no defending that shot. If there was a couple seconds on the shot clock, like you said, maybe you shoot that. And, maybe he just thought he had a good rhythm to it or something. But yeah, that's a tough one. I know the play is designed for him to come off that screen and shoot if he's open, but he wasn't open and he was way behind the line and wasn't even close.
I
But
feel like it's
he was off
designed.
all night.
Yeah, I feel like it's designed for him to come off that and go downhill, especially if it's that far away. Because he had
Yeah.
space in front of him, too. That's the part that annoyed me. The only reason he was open was because he had a bunch of space in front of him to curl off and drive and attack middle and either get to his floater, which he's really good at, or draw another defender and kick out. Like, that it should have been an easy play. Get to the floater. If you miss the floater, fine. That's a fine shot. Right? Or draw another defender and make the right pass. It should have been an easy play for him. And he just settled for just a crappy shot, man. And the Blazers have had some moments lately where their shot selection has been very, very bad. Very, very bad. And it's just different shots that stick out in my mind. You know, we'll talk a little bit about Chris Murray shooting another freaking transition brick today. But like that shot from Anthony was tough, and yeah, he struggled in this game. He had been on fire. Part of the reason why he kind of struggled this game was because he was the main defensive focal point.
OG guarding you the whole game.
Yeah, and like face guarding him. So just his presence on the floor made it easier for guys like Scoot, made it easier for guys like Sharp, because the Knicks obviously came into this game with a game plan like, we're going to take this dude out. Denny as well. Yeah, the Knicks obviously came into this game with a game plan that we got to take Anthony Simons out of the game. He has 30 points in 4 of his last 5. He's coming off a 34-point game. Like, got to take him out of the game. So, you know, that's the thing that people that want to hate on Ant, Eric, who those, look how bad he played, look how good Scoot played. It's like, well, Ant played bad because he has Anunoby face guarding him 30 feet from the rim, and that made it a lot easier for guys like Scoot to get going. It kind of goes hand in hand.
Yeah, remember that game when Sharp had his hot stretch at the end of his rookie year, and we played the Pelicans, and Herb Jones did that to him the entire game, and like didn't let him get the ball at all, and like it just Sharp had a terrible game, couldn't even get a shot off. Yeah, to all the people, because I've seen numerous people say this in chat, when Anthony's not hitting his shots, he contributes nothing to the team, and it's the same thing. We've talked about this numerous times. With CJ for years, with Dame, when people who don't think Dame makes his teammates better and stuff like that. When you have OG guarding Anthony, that's their power forward. Who do you think's guarding Denny then, right? Like, they have to switch their defense, and then McBride has to guard someone. And Sharp had some really good moments in this game where he got open and was going against lesser defenders. And so, like, you have to recognize that there is some usefulness if you take advantage of it, of defensive attention, whether the guy's hitting shots or not. It's not always about hitting shots. Of course, we'd like him to hit shots. And I'm not saying that Ant does a ton of other things well, but, like, this is a case where he does provide some spacing for other players just for being on the court.
Yep, absolutely. Let's recap about as many players as we can here. Then we'll give a shout out to BetUS. Then we'll do a tankathon. Then we'll take calls. Okay, that's what our show is going to be tonight. First off, is there any more crunch time plays you think we should have talked about?
Well, let's talk about the last play, the McHale 3.
Yeah.
It's okay. So, like, I saw some people saying, like, "Oh, you can't. Klingon is unplayable in those situations or whatever." It didn't seem to me like the plan was to switch all screens. If it was, Klingon was a step slow, and maybe that's on him. I don't know.
If that wasn't the plan, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, we famously went off on Terry Stotts when he doubled down on his uh, thing about not switching there and thinking someone could get through a screen. I forgot who it was, but oh, so people are saying Chauncey said he messed up. So he didn't tell them to switch? Is that what happened, Colt? Did he say something in the post?
Yeah, did he explain? Listen, if he meant to tell him to switch and he didn't tell him to switch, that's a perfect example of Chauncey having no clue how to situationally coach late in the game because,
Yeah.
my goodness, like that is core basketball 1-on-1.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Eric, Josh Hart catches an inbound pass with 3 seconds left, 30 feet away from the rim, wasn't able to buy a 3 all night even when he was wide open.
He said he made a mistake by not subbing out Klingon.
Yeah. Which,
Yeah, with 3 seconds left, you probably do. You'd give
Well-
up 2 if they score, but yeah.
I mean, because if you're up 1, I get it. If you're up 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're up 2, there's
tough.
2 things you don't want. You don't want a 3 and you don't want to foul somebody because then you might give up an and 1. The worst case scenario should be, oh, they hit a 2, Mikhail hits a runner there, we go into a double overtime, right? So you want quickness out there because Josh Hart catches the ball 30 feet away from the rim, hadn't been able to buy a 3 all night, and catches it right next to Mikhail Bridges. It's like, where the hell do we think the ball's going to go there?
Yeah.
Of course it's going to be a handoff to Mikhail there. Like, you could see that play coming from a mile away. Josh Hart's not going to do anything with that.
No.
And he also had Klingon on him, but it's like, you don't need to put Klingon on him. Basically, that play was just a handoff to Mikhail sprinting to
We have
his left.
Sharp on Mikhail,
Yeah.
who's not our best defender. But anyways, if they're insta-switching all picks, though, I don't think Mikhail gets a good shot off because Klingon would have been right there. Even if Mikhail gets a step on him, Klingon's long enough to affect that shot. And
I mean, I think that was the plan. Klingon's
Yeah.
just, here's the thing. Mikhail at a sprint, Klingon's not going to catch up to him from a standstill.
well, but he kind of stops for a second and then realizes he has to switch because Sharp gets completely caught on the pick. But like, so I don't know if he was thinking switch initially. It looked like he just waited a second too long to switch. But
I mean, here's the problem. Here's the problem. We always have to play these guessing games as to what the hell happened after
Yeah.
a late game defensive
True.
breakdown under Chauncey Billups.
uh,
And it's like, yeah, maybe a player messed up, sure, but like if we're having that conversation all the time, which we've had for 4 years under Chauncey, at what point is it like, oh man, yeah, all these players, it's always them. They're always the ones making all the mistakes when we make a bunch of these late game mistakes. It's like, at what point is it like, all right, well, Chauncey's obviously not getting through to your team because Klingon's a smart defensive player. I know he's a rookie, but he's a smart defensive player. And most basketball players know, like, 3 seconds left, you're going to switch all screens, right? Because you don't want to give them any space. They don't really have time to punish the mismatch, right? So, like, Klingon in that situation should know to switch all screens. So if he wasn't ready to switch screens, like, either that's a really, really bad mistake on Klingon's part that I'd be surprised by, or it's something with Chauncey. I don't know which one, but I'm tired of having to question it, you know? I'm tired of having to ask those questions. So
well,
in that situation, you want a smaller guy to switch the screen because you got Mikhail coming off at a run. You want somebody that can run with him. The problem is Klingon at a standstill. He's not going to catch up to Mikhail, so Mikhail running off that screen gets enough space to get a shot up. You want somebody that can run, get to his hip, and make him turn the corner and not let him shoot a 3 there, and Klingon's not that guy in that situation.
yeah,
No centers, other than Webby.
But I'd say, okay, whoever's getting the ball, if it's up top, this is in the timeout. Whoever gets the ball up top, it's probably gonna be Hart, because obviously they know we're gonna put whoever our worst perimeter defender is in the game at the time on Hart. We had Klingon on him most of the game, so I would say if Hart does the screen, just double team the ball handler, like hard hedge that screen, and maybe just leave Hart over it. If
That's
he
how you
hits
pick up a foul in that situation.
maybe, but like just say don't foul, but like have two two people go with Mikhail. If he has in 3 seconds dribbling to his left is able to pass to Hart and Hart hits a three. I mean, I think you'd live with that, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean, we've
I
seen
probably
Hart hit a game-winning three before, though.
yeah, I know at the buzzer, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they were daring him to shoot all game. Like, that's the problem. Is there's just always so many questions about why the Blazers did this or that when they completely melt down in a late game situation, and there's always these Blazer fans, man. They're just like, he hit an insane shot. He never hits that. Like, blah 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 blah. And it's like, all right, how many times do we catch ourselves saying, like, man, the other player just made a great play, as if there's nothing we can do? Because I feel like there's a lot of Blazer fans out there that do that with everything. Peyton Pritchard goes off for 43. Oh, there's nothing we could have done to stop him from scoring 43 points. And Derek White scoring 41 points. You know, the Thunder are a good team. Yeah, they were missing their whole starting lineup, but we lost by 18. They're a good team. It's always these excuses. At what point is like, man, no, you cannot give up a three there. I don't know. You know, I shouldn't have to come up with the best defensive game plan there. I'm not paid to do that. Chauncey's paid to do that. Chauncey has to find a way there to get his team to not give up a three and not foul, because then you don't lose the game. And routinely, we have these conversations about late game scenarios. I mean, remember at the start of the season, we have Anthony Simons on Brandon Ingram, and he hits an easy mid-range over him for the win. It's like, why the hell did we end up with Anthony Simons on Brandon Ingram? You know what I mean? Yeah. I forget, like, the details of that play, but, like, that's just an example of one of the conversations we've had this season. So I'm just tired of having those conversations. You got to find a way to not give up a three there.
Yep, and you do that by, and Chauncey admitted this after the game, you have a switchable lineup that switches every pick, and you just stay in front of whoever they are, and don't let them get a step on you off a screen. But yeah.
Klingon wasn't. Yeah, I'm just rewatching this play. Klingon was not ready to run with Mikhail. I mean, he still did almost block it. Like, if he reacted fast enough, then.
But I'm saying, like, it's almost like he was surprised he had to go with Mikhail or something, like, you know what I mean? If he was thinking switch all picks, I don't think he stops for a second.
Yeah, but also you should be closer to Josh Hart. I mean, yeah. That's the thing, is, like, that could be a learning experience for Klingon, right? Klingon's a smart defender, but in that situation, you should be up on Josh Hart. I know he's not a shooter, and I think that's what Klingon was thinking, but anytime you inbound right in front of the inbounder, he's coming off that screen, and in that situation, late game, you got to be prepared to help, right? Did Bridges travel? No.
I'm going to watch it.
No. Yeah, no, he did not travel.
The ball for a second, but yeah, I don't.
No, like not. He didn't travel on the pickup. He might have. You could maybe make a case when he caught the ball, man. But he took 2 steps, put it on the floor before his 3rd step, and then gathered on his 1-2 pull up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he traveled.
That's if one that of those was things where he didn't catch it cleanly, so you can't call it.
But also, even if he did catch it cleanly, I don't. He caught it. Took 2 steps, put the ball on the floor before his 3rd step. It was out of his hand. And then, like, listen, guys, I get it. But if that's a Blazer, all of us are saying he didn't travel.
Like the Jeremy Grant game.
Yeah, the Jeremy Grant, that was more of a travel than that.
That was, they ruled it a travel. We'll see what the last 2-minute report says.
Yeah, no.
And we did get a lucky break with Josh Hart's brain fart moving on the inbounds pass under their basket when they
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, listen, you can put the blame squarely on Klingon there and say it's a good late game experience for him, man. I've just seen this too much under Chauncey that I'm just kind of tired of it. And even if it's not Chauncey's fault at all, I'm tired of it. Like, at some point, you got to find a way to actually defend, especially if that's going to be your identity. We're going to play defense. If that's going to be your identity, you got to find a way to defend late in games in late game situations. And, I mean, they even had an inbound pass, the scoot turnover that went off, wasn't a turnover because it went off Josh Hart's foot barely. It's just like a tough inbound play that had nothing going for it that we almost turned it over on late in the game. And how many times do we see that happen?
Mm-hmm. The only thing I'll say is, so when Mikhail inbounds it to Hart, Klingon doesn't know if he's going to the middle or down the sideline. So I think he's standing there not knowing for a second which way he's going to go off that, if that makes sense.
I mean, but you got the inbounder. He's going to be underneath Mikhail. You should not shade towards him going under the screen like that because you got. Or was it Shea on him? Whoever was guarding the inbound pass.
It was Shea.
Yeah, whenever you're guarding the inbound pass there and they pass it in, like, you get underneath them. So if he goes that way, you're with him. You only need help over the top of the screen. So that's where Klingon needs to be headed. Like, from the jump, when Josh Hart caught the ball, Klingon should have already been starting that way.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that they could realistically do that would beat you. Right? So you got to take that away. And listen, if it's a smaller guy that feels more comfortable getting up and hugging Josh Hart in that situation, he's with Mikhail when he's running off the screen, and he's quicker, so he's probably able to keep up with Mikhail, and Mikhail would potentially have had to turn that downhill and try and get to a floater at the buzzer. You know, that's why you play a smaller guy in that situation.
Although, I mean, so like Beavis says, the problem is Klingon is too slow to keep up with the Mikhail Bridges. Yes, in a normal situation, but with 3.4 seconds left, it's negligible how much slower he is. Like if he makes that read right away, I think he stays with it close enough to affect the shot a lot more than he did.
Yeah, maybe. But also, I do like having a smaller guy in there.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying
it's just tough as a big dude if you're standing still guarding the ball handler and like. Your reaction is going to be later than like you're reacting to the offensive player, so he's going to already have momentum by the time you react. He's already going to be running that way, and you're trying to catch up to him from a standstill. Like Klingon almost blocked the shot. He did a good job gaining that ground, so maybe he is finding that situation, man. It's just when you're going to switch all screens there, especially when they got a small lineup, no bigs, you have a small on Hart there. Also, it's like. When the play was setting up, I mean, Josh Hart was up on the perimeter. Like, I would have been fine with Klingon guarding somebody down low.
Yeah, I was just looking at that, but they did a really good job of everyone moving off ball, so...
Oh, shocker. A inbound play where everybody moves and it forces something you want.
Like, if someone was just camped in the far corner, that should have been Klingon on the... Or he should have been guarding the inbounds, and then you switch...
Yeah.
Then Sharp switches that onto him if he's on Hart. But yeah, you make it tough with him on the inbound pass.
Yeah, I mean, rough play. I'm tired of playing the guessing game with Chauncey, for real, man. But if you want to play the guessing game, you can play it with BetUS. Look at that segue, Eric. Look at that segue. I'm the king of segues. And with March Madness right around the corner, Selection Sundays on Sunday. We've got conference tournaments going on right now, and then we got March Madness. If you want to get in on the action, check out BetUS. Use promo code YouTube150. You'll receive 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit and 125% bonuses on your next two deposits up to $2,000. It's a great promotion from college basketball, man. It's my favorite time of year. I say that about many times a year, but it's March, baby. So you can get in on college basketball. You can get in on the NBA as well. And you even got baseball starting up soon. So if you want a team to root for, never been into baseball, you can place money on a team to win the World Series. You can place a future bet there and root for that team all year. Just don't do it on the Dodgers because that's probably the team that'll win it, and screw them. All right, that's my advice. I wish we could complain about Jody not deferring money, Eric. Anyway, check out BetUS, promo code YouTube150. Shout out to them for sponsoring the postgame show.
I just want to check real quick. What are the odds for my Cincinnati Reds to win the World Series?
Are they higher or lower than my Seattle Mariners? That's what I want to know.
They're plus 7,000, not the worst. That's pretty good.
What are the Mariners?
Miami's 50,000. Holy crap. Seattle Mariners are plus 3,000. So you have almost
with that
Yeah.
crappy lineup. Our pitching
Well,
staff's elite.
I think, yeah, with a good pitching staff and a
Weak
winnable division.
division,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So I have a question for chat. Little off topic question. Then we'll get to Tankathon. We'll look at the new tanking picture because it's changed for your Blazers. There's also a couple other Blazers we need to talk about. I still need to just have a 30-second complaint about Chris Murray. Okay, but for those of you who are not MLB fans or not fans of a specific MLB team, would Portland getting an MLB team change that for you because you would be a fan of that team? Like, would Portland getting an MLB franchise make you more interested in the MLB through that team? We got one no, we got three yeses, we got a probably, we got a duh. I was curious, man. I was curious. I know for some people they just can't stand baseball to the point where they wouldn't, but yeah, that's the thing. People try and use an argument against Portland getting an MLB team by saying, a lot of them are already Mariners fans, but it's like, no, there's a lot of people that aren't fans yet that would be fans if we had a team. And listen, I'm a Mariner fan. If Portland gets a team, I'm a Portland fan. I'm a Portland fan. I'd probably still root for the Mariners in the playoffs if they're not playing the Portland team, but I might end up hating the Mariners if Portland got an MLB team because they'd be rivals. I would be a Portland MLB fan for sure. Eric, would you be a Portland MLB fan over your Cincinnati Reds if Portland got a team?
Yeah, I would hope they're. Well, actually, I'd want them to be in the NL because I think there's more fun matchups. But the AL, hopefully they're in the AL. So, or I guess if you're a Mariners fan, you want them to be in the NL, right? So,
yeah.
Because it doesn't
But like,
matter.
if they faced the Reds in the World Series, who are you rooting for?
I don't know. I think if your city gets a team, that's like one of the only times you can switch your fandom.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how I feel. I don't know.
I feel like both of us, man. You with your family, me with me myself. We'd be going to a lot of games over the summer, especially if it's where they built it. Especially if those renderings came to life on the Willamette River. That's looks like such a beautiful stadium. We would absolutely be going to games to the point where it's like, yeah, you'd get pretty invested in that team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely go to more baseball games than I do Blazer games.
Yeah, it's a good experience, and especially
I love going.
like that park, man. I just want to see that park be a real thing. Like, as Portland getting an MLB team, especially like if it's that ballpark, that would be like the closest thing to winning a championship. That would be so much fun, man. I would start a Portland baseball channel.
Nice.
I would learn the game more and then learn the salary cap. Basically, there's none, and also the Dodgers defer a frick ton of money. That's the salary cap. So pretty easy to learn. Pretty easy to learn. I don't understand a player to be named later as part of trades, though. So anyway, what other players do we need to touch upon before we get to Tankathon?
Tamani started out the game shooting horribly, but ended up with pretty good stat line, I think. 6 of 10. I felt like he missed his first like 3 threes though, and then made his last couple. So yeah, 14 points, 10 shots. Yeah, did Tamani things. Denny was a little rough at times, but he was awesome in a lot of parts of this game. And 27 points on 18 shots and 15 rebounds. That's a monster game, 5 assists. Mm-hmm. But gotta cut down on the 7 turnovers.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Sharp looked really good at times in this game, but also...
What do you shoot from 3? Do you have the box score up?
3 for 8.
I mean, at least he shot 3 for 8. At least he made some threes, I guess. But I don't know.
Dwight finally hit a couple threes, but took 6 of them. Jabari finally missed a 3, his one attempt before getting knocked out of this game.
Knocked out. How the hell, as a ref, do you not see that elbow, dude?
I don't know.
That's ridiculous. Like, that's just where it's like, that game got a little ridiculous from a ref standpoint. How do you miss that, man? If we did that, they would call that instantly. Probably get ejected. But no, Cat does that and they become blind. The refs become blind. It's annoying.
And I know we've already mentioned this several times, but props, the one prop I'll give Chauncey tonight is Anthony Simons only 31 minutes in an overtime game. Like, good job, Chauncey, playing the hot hand and letting Scoot take over in that fourth without taking him out of the game for some reason.
Especially with how good Ant had been too.
Right.
I would have had a hard time blaming Chauncey if he was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna play him 40 minutes in this game because he's been so good lately."
Right. When it was close to like 5 minutes left in the fourth, I fully expected him to go back to Anthony at some point, and I know he had to, but
Like if he played Ant instead of Sharp, I wouldn't have been that mad. If he played Ant instead of Scoot with how good Scoot had been going, like if he subbed out Scoot the star overtime, I would have had a meltdown on stream.
Right.
I would have lost my mind, man. I would have lost. Yeah, it would not have been good. It would not have been good.
Yeah, Scoot got 37 minutes off the bench. Can't complain about that.
Yeah, good amount of minutes there, dude. I just looked at this Toronto and Philadelphia box score. It's wild.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. Well, I watched part of the game, or like was following part of the game with because
AJ Lawson goes off again.
Yeah.
Jared Rhoden has 25 points, 12 boards, 5 rebounds. Former Blazer, by the way. How many of you have never heard of him? He was in training camp 1 year.
The Toronto Raptors started Pirtle, but he only played 17 minutes. The rest of their starting lineup was Jared Rhoden, Jamal Shed, Jamison Battle, and Colin Castleton.
Jamison Battle's the second best player in that starting lineup. He's actually been solid this year.
Castleton played 40 minutes in this game, dude. They tried everything to lose this game, and still.
If we needed a minimum signing for a shooter, Jamison Battle would actually be interesting. He's 6'7". He's shooting 43% from 3.
Bad example tonight. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, but like on 3.3 attempts per game in only 13 minutes, that's pretty good volume right there. So. But yeah, and then my guy Orlando Robinson, 25 points, 12 boards, 6 assists off the bench. I love tanking box scores; they're beautiful. Let's talk about Chris before I segue that into Tankathon. Eric, I am starting to want to pull all my hair out watching him play. I know he had 4 steals in this game. Yeah. Although Thibault would also shoot these transition threes, but at least he is like 10 percentage points better of a 3-point shooter than Chris Murray, which is crazy, by the way. As a 26% 3-point shooter, what are you doing shooting so many so many transition threes? Why are you shooting so many transition threes? You're a 26% 3-point shooter. He made 2 really bad turnovers trying to drive baseline and just getting cut off because he's not quick enough and just driving to nowhere.
Up the ball for no reason.
And just giving up the ball. Like, he started to become a turnover machine because he can't do anything off the dribble. And then it's like he makes that turnover in the broadcast, like Chauncey's telling him to keep his head up. And then 5 seconds later, with 18 on the shot clock, he gets a corner 3 and chucks it and bricks it, of course. It's like, if you're a good shooter, fine. A somewhat open corner 3 that early in the clock is fine if it's like Ant. Even if it's somebody like Sharp who can make them. When you're a 26% 3-point shooter, bro, that's not your game. Maybe you can prove it can be your game if you start making some of the wide open threes you get, but why are you shooting a transition corner 3 with 18 on the clock when you're that bad of a 3-point shooter? I trust Klingon more as a shooter right now than I do Chris Murray. Well, yeah, I probably do because Klingon's shooting a better 3-point percentage than Chris Murray, and he's not going to shoot dumb transition threes. So Chris Murray's like the worst shooter in our lineup, and he's shooting that. I don't like that, Eric. I do not like that. And then Hurd right after that is like, that's the shots the Blazers want him taking. And it's like, Wait, the Blazers want their 26% three-point shooter that can't buy a jump shot to shoot transition threes? Really? Drives me crazy.
Yep. Agreed with everything.
You know what's funny is I also tweeted out the Blazers. Remember that the Blazers tweeted, or I said, the Blazers traded Quentin Post for cash. Remember that. And some people were like, who would you have kept him over? We already have like 5 bigs. It's like, okay, well, trade some of your freaking bigs then. And then, like, might as well cut Duop, you know what I mean? Like, take a chance on a Quentin Post who's already a better shooter and he's 7 feet tall and a better defender, right? 52nd pick. But, like, I'd rather have him than Chris Murray. I know we drafted Chris with the first and Quentin Post with the second, but we drafted Quentin Post for Golden State, but shoot, man. Like, the Blazers should try move on from Chris Murray, you get a second-round pick, and just take a chance on someone. If they suck, they suck. At least they'll be like 20, and maybe you can see it out for a couple years, and maybe they end up being good. Maybe you get the next Tamani. Maybe you get the next even Quentin Post. I'll take that at this point. Because Quentin Post is better than Chris. Like, it's just frustrating. The more I watch him, it's just like, especially what's funny is like in this game, it's like Josh Hart's problems he had in Portland were rearing their ugly head, where we were just daring him to shoot and he couldn't make a three. But still, it was like him, and then see Chris Murray, like, yeah, he had some steals, nice defensive plays, man. But it's like Thibault can do that and shoot 34% from three. You know?
You could also trade one of your in-the-bench guys for, like, a protected second-round pick or something to clear up a roster spot.
But, like, we need a shooter in that spot, man. We need a shooter in Chris Murray's spot. Like, if you can go get a Jamison Battle, I know he's not a big name, but he's shooting 43% from three. I'd rather have that.
Or once again, you know, use your two ways on guys like, at least they have Sissoko and
I like Sissoko.
I guess McGowan's now, but like,
but also Sissoko's like he's an athletic, kind of defensive minded prospect that struggles to shoot the three.
Yeah.
Like, how many of those guys are we gonna have? You know.
Right. But I'm saying, like, you should take your chances with those kind of guys on your two ways, not
for sure. I like Sissoko on a two way. It's just like, man, this team. You know, they shot the three ball fine tonight because Scoot was 4 for 4 and Avdija was 4 for 8. So those two guys were combined 8 for 12.
But we could have had Post on a two way as the 52nd pick, right?
Yeah, I mean, that would have been beautiful. That would have been, and we would have probably signed him to a regular contract now
at the time, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just stretch 5 behind Klingon long term. I think is the move. But like outside of him, it's just like you need some shooting on this team. Especially at like a forward or at center spot, I think. Uprise was supposed to be our shooter, and he had a, what did he shoot today? 2 for 6, and it felt like a good shooting day because he made a couple, because he's been brutal from 3 lately. So, Blazers need some shooting. Anyway, let's do Tankathon. Let's see if was it a ethical tank today, Eric?
We should get rewarded, I think, right?
Well, we kind of are rewarded because we did move up.
Yeah.
That's the good news.
So it won't be the same as last stream with us moving up because we're in a different spot now, so we can get rewarded for that, right?
Yeah, let me full screen this. So we have passed San Antonio. We've passed San Antonio. We are technically tied for 8th best odds.
They picked the wrong night to win by 10 against the Mavericks, Suntory.
Yeah.
Should have done it on Monday for you.
I know. Screw me.
Against my island.
Stop flexing. All right. Yeah, we're tied with Chicago at 8. Toronto's won 2 in a row. The Blazers are 4.5 back. They're 5 wins back. Can Toronto go on a little run behind AJ Lawson? They are hardcore taken, bro.
Before you hit Sim, Smog had a member message for 50 months. Says, please give us flag, Mr. Silver.
I was going to use that as a segue. I forgot. Shout out to Smog. Thank you for being a channel member. Yes, please give us flag. Please give us flag. Hopefully Chicago can win their next game. I believe it's tomorrow. Yeah, it's tomorrow versus Brooklyn. Winnable game.
We don't play till Sunday. Let's go.
Winnable game. Yeah, and then Saturday at Houston, so maybe they'll give up that game. But then if we lose Sunday, who do we play Sunday?
You can look right there.
Oh, we play Toronto on Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh God, we're probably gonna win that game. But Eric, losing that game.
Yeah.
Toronto plays Utah next. Let's assume they beat Utah. If we lost that game, we'd only be 3 games away from 7th best odds.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like that. Also, we play them again, so we could lose again and only need to make up 2 games over these games right here. And they have games against, look at this. San Antonio, Washington, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Philadelphia, Chicago. Brooklyn, Charlotte. Oh, God, I'm rooting for them to lose next game, Eric. Everybody's hurt. Okay? Everybody's hurt. We're going to play Sissoko at point. Thibault at center. And Klingon at shooting guard. All right? Eric, if they lose against Toronto, they might have a chance of catching them. Because all these other teams are going to be tanking too. Philly, Charlotte, Brooklyn, Washington, San Antonio, Charlotte, Chicago, maybe, Brooklyn. That's 9 games against teams that are not even in a play-in. And we can lose to them twice. Like, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not going to hold my breath on that one, but...
I mean, if we lose to them twice, we only got to... They got so many games against tanking teams. Like, we got such a tough schedule. We could legit... It's possible to make up that gap. That's all I'm going to say. It's not likely, but it's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. Get back up to 7th best odds. 32% chance of the top 4. If you don't fall from 7, I have a clear-cut top 7 right now. Like, that's what I want. Okay? That's what I want. I'm back on board with the tank. All right, let's simulate the lottery. Let's scroll up. Let's see if we can capture the flag. At least we're not 10th anymore. All right. 14 is Sacramento to Atlanta. 13 is Dallas. 12 is Houston via Phoenix. 11 is Miami. 10 is San Antonio. 9 is your Portland Trailblazers. 8th is Chicago. 7th is Brooklyn. Got to move up to 7. 6 is Philly. 5 is New Orleans. So you got Washington, Charlotte, Utah, and Toronto. 4 is Charlotte. 3 is Utah. 2 is Washington, which means the number 1 overall pick goes to Toronto. If that's not a sign, Eric, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Got to lose to Toronto on Sunday.
The ultimate sign.
Okay, Klingon at shooting guard, Thibault at center, Sissoko at point guard, and Jeremy Grant at power forward. That's the tank lineup right there.
Yeah, you're not giving Chris Murray his credit as Lord Tank Commander.
Tank Commander, yeah. That's crazy.
He
that
would definitely have that badge right now.
The only team that moved up in this sim is Toronto to 1.
Yeah.
That's crazy. If we beat them on Sunday, we have no hopes of getting past 8.
Yeah.
So.
But we also should get rewarded for doing that.
Yeah. But you know what's funny is like people are like, why root for the tank earlier? Why root for a small percentage chance? It's like, what, we were at 10th? We got as low as 11th. We had a 9% chance of the top 4. If you can get up to 7th, that's a 32% chance. That's a massive difference. It's a massive difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right now we have a 20% chance. So lose to Toronto. Everybody has an illness. Sign me to a 10-day. I'll go out there and play as hard as I can. Anyway, that's Tankodon.
All right, who wants to
Oh
come
yeah,
and talk to us on
Collins. All right,
Discord?
yeah, we got Discord Collins. Let me get you up here, Eric. If you want to call into the show, join the call in our Discord. And we will invite the first person that shows up. First person that wants to call into the show after a riveting game. A riveting overtime loss. Mikal Bridges does that little 3-point celebration with all the sauciness behind it. Man, oh man. How much college basketball you been watching with conference tournaments underway, Eric?
Well, unfortunately, with my job, I'm not able to watch during the day, but I did catch a little bit when I got home today, and I watched a lot over the weekend.
Anything stick out to you scouting wise?
Trying to remember Saturday. Watched so many games on Saturday. What stood out? I don't really remember.
I do have more of an opinion on your boy, Sturts.
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say because I already read your thing about it.
Yeah. But Chet hasn't seen, so
Yeah.
I
Go
like
ahead,
I like
Tori.
Sturts as a skilled shooter. A shooter that can do a little bit off the bounce hit, step back threes, that sort of thing. I just think his lack of athleticism is gonna hurt him in terms of his creation. And he's not the biggest guy, so he's not going to be able to use that to his advantage in the NBA. So I think he's more of a shooter that can do a little bit off the dribble, which I mean
He's
could
listed
be a
at
good.
6'5".
He's
Yeah,
6'3",
listed.
6'4". I mean, he's also physically not. I don't know. Needs to add a little bit of strength if he's going to use his body. He's just not the quickest guy too, and it'd be interesting to see him like transfer up because I know like I saw a tweet something about statistically he struggles getting to the rim, struggles playing against quad one or quad two opponents. So he was a D2 player, really cool story, right? And has been a really really good D1 player this year. I mean, he's led Drake to the tournament. He's the lead guy for one of the best mid majors. So he has a cool story, but I I would need to see him like transfer up and like create against better athletes at the same level, which maybe he could in order to like bump him. I
Oh,
think
oh,
I think he's like 35 to 45 for me.
yeah, fair. No, it's definitely a concern. I think what's tough for me is Drake is the type of team that uses like the entire shot clock. So I feel like when I've watched Drake games,
They play really
there's
slow, yeah.
there's been like so many times where he could have attacked, but they like slow it down and they want to use up the shot clock, so he doesn't. So it's hard to tell whether it's that he can't do it or that he's like just the way their offense works. Like if he's trying to like not push the tempo and more, because like when you see him on the fast break and stuff, he is kind of sneakily athletic and stuff. So um, he uses his size well. So he moves well laterally on defense and stuff like that. He's not like slow footed or anything. So I I do agree that that's probably his biggest weakness, jumping up to the NBA level, and even like you said to a bigger school or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's I get frustrated watching those slow it down teams that want to focus on limiting possessions and all that kind of stuff. It was like they never really attack early in the shot clock, and
Yeah.
he takes a lot of those step back because he has the ball with like 3 seconds and can't get to
I
the
mean, yeah,
rim.
he has a lot of late shot clock attacks, but it's like, he still, a lot of the times, it seems like he has enough time to get downhill, get to the rim, and it's not like he can't, just against better athletes. So it'll be interesting to see him playing in the tournament.
Yeah.
Like if he's the type of guy whose stock could rise overall and for me, just with some good performances in the tournament. So definitely a guy to watch. I'm glad
He's one of those guys, yeah, who could make a name for himself with one of those tourney favorite type guys,
Yep. And then, what else was I going to say? Oh, my Ben Seraph doubt is officially locked in. That's all I'll say. I am feeling confident in my Ben Seraph doubt. Just somebody that struggles to shoot the three and struggles to play off the ball, but then doesn't seem like he has the greatest length, and then struggles to separate, create space with the ball. Like, I just don't see how his game translates to the NBA and what exactly his role is. Of course, that means he's going to be a top 5 player from the class, right? So, but I do not understand people that have had Ben Seraph as high as the top 5. People I respect and listen to, man. I don't understand Ben Seraph top 5 stuff. It makes zero sense to me.
No one wants to talk to us.
Nobody wants to talk to us.
We should just have this every game so people get used to it. Maybe.
Yeah, but some games I don't know. Some games I'm I just want to recap the game the way we do it. Otherwise, streams would go 3 hours all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just have an occasional person pop in or whatever.
Yeah, but then if we turn them down, nobody's popping in. So, yeah, if you guys want to call into the show, Discord links at the top of the description. You can click on the call-in tab. You can call into the show. We're going to talk about prospects for a little bit and then probably end the stream. I'd be fine not going much longer than this anyway if nobody wants to call.
Yeah.
I am if nobody wants to call, I'm completely fine with that. Because it was a long game, and it was a late game, and it's already 11:35. I've been going to bed at midnight, so...
I get up at 4:30, so I'm always down.
Yeah. All right, here we go. We got Michael. Bringing Michael to the stage. What's up, Michael? How are you doing tonight?
Is this the Michael Kroll?
It's the Michael Kroll. What's up, man?
What's good? What's good? Good game today. A lot of good basketball, actually.
Yeah, a lot of good basketball. Yeah, a lot of good college ball. Some good NBA games. You had OKC beat Boston today. You had Phoenix lose again. Yeah, some good basketball today.
That Cal-Stanford game was good.
Yeah. We had Eric's guy Stojakovic and my guy Reyno going against each other.
Yeah.
Stojakovic. Did you see Stojakovic today, Eric?
I didn't see the game. No, I saw the final score.
Did you see how many points he had? 37.
Did he go off?
He went off. Yeah, it was a really good game between those two. So Reyno is going to play tomorrow. Good scouting opportunity for anybody that wants to watch him. Skilled big, 7 foot, maybe 7'1".
Who do they got?
Louisville? I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong. Let me check. They're in the ACC now, so it's Louisville.
It's so
they were out there playing in Charlotte. Stanford versus Cal in the ACC tournament in Charlotte is weird.
Yeah.
But Michael, what you got for us, man?
Low key, all right. I got a good question. I don't know if y'all have answered it on any of your guys' streams, but who is the most surprising player this year for y'all on our team?
Oh, on the team.
Yeah, on the team. Yeah.
Most surprising player.
Oh God.
Eric, do you have anything that comes to your mind? Because I need to think about it.
Yeah. See, I mean, I'm guessing you are asking this in a positive way, but
it could be positive or negative.
My most surprising thing is just how bad Jeremy fell off and
Oh, for real.
how
Mhm.
crappy he looked. Like I don't think anyone could have seen it being like this bad after having a somewhat decent season last year. Like, but yeah, I mean, if we're talking positive, I think it's pretty obvious Scoot's level of play this year.
Not surprised.
Well, I know,
Yeah,
not that's always surprising, but just
no, it can be surprising for you.
I I mean, if you're not surprised that Scoot's shooting like 37% now from three, like I think you're crazy, but like, come on, man, you just think
He shot
37.
almost 35% after
I
he
know.
started wearing contacts last year. Andy was shooting 35% through those clunky goggles, and then took them off and went up to 37%. I think that's reasonable.
All right, sure, dude. But yeah, it's still surprising to me that he's like a lockdown or lights out shooter now. But yeah,
For real.
those are the two things that stick out for me.
Nobody really. So like Grant, obviously for negative. Positively, there's really nobody that surprised me positively.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
I think Jabari's shooting the last week or last week and a half maybe might be the most surprising thing, because Sharp, I kind of expected this. Scoot, I kind of expected this before the season. I was being very bold about how Scoot was going to improve, and it might take him a little while at the start of the season, but then he was going to take off at some point, and that's basically exactly what he did. So, you know, I don't like. I'm not surprised by Scoot's improvements. I had a feeling he was going to drastically improve and shut up some of the haters that were already calling him a bust and this and that. I mean, Tamani, I expected some growth out of. I think a lot of these, you know, Denny, I love the pickup. I thought, like, this is exactly what I expected out of Denny. I really liked Denny when we got him. So a lot of the growth is, like, growth that I expected. I still expected this team to be a little bit worse and then trade all the vets and then tank the rest of the season.
Yeah.
So I guess the most surprising thing is just, like, this team as a whole being a bit better. But there's really no one player where it's like, oh, yeah, that's really surprising to me that they're doing this. Because I think this is just kind of a little bit of the optimistic side of, like, our core five guys with Avdia, Sharp, Kamara, Scoot, Denny. Those five, like, I think their improvement in their play this year has just been, like, it's been good. It's been a good outcome. But it hasn't been necessarily, like, super surprising to me.
Yeah, I think Gregory mentions in chat, Ron Williams still being a Blazer is surprising. I wouldn't say like an individual player is surprising because like you never expect Joe to make a move, but the fact he made no moves, like not one, like he didn't even trade Duop Reith or something, you know, or Banton for a second round pick or something. Like you didn't do one single move the entire season. That surprised me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm replying.
How about you, Michael?
Honestly, like at the beginning of the season, I would have said like repair, but that kind of fell off a cliff. But yeah, I guess probably how well Scoots played, because at the start of the year he started off a little rocky. Like,
yeah,
but he's picked it up. So I didn't think he'd be this good this year. So
yeah, I think Scoot is going to be the answer for most people. Yeah, I expected big things, man. I expected big things. So it's
generational.
The funny thing is, I felt more confident about what to expect from him this year than I know what to expect from him next year. Because all the improvement that he needed to make was obvious. Now it's like not quite so obvious, so it's going to be a little harder to improve as much as he did from year 1 to year 2. So I don't really know what to expect from him next year. If that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, he shot good free throw as a rookie, and then has been a little bit worse. But do you understand that, Eric, or do you agree with that? Like, I don't know what to expect for him next year as much as I did this year.
Yeah, because I could see it one of two ways. I could see, him basically plateauing out, just getting better with usage and stuff like that. Um, but I could also see him like continuing to become the player people thought when we drafted him, and like get closer to being that all-star slash star level player too. So it's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. But like even if he doesn't improve a ton from where he's at, like I think he's proven he's probably at least a starting level point
Yeah,
guard
but
in
like
the game.
I would be shocked if he didn't improve given like he's a hard worker, he's barely 21. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
well, that's what I'm saying. Like natural improvement from getting
yeah.
experience and reps and usage
Yeah. Well,
is normal. But like what I'm saying is like a drastic jump anywhere. Like I
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like, if he has a slight volume uptick and he becomes a starter and like his minutes go from 27 per game to 35 right now, and he slightly improves, his per game stats are going to look monumentally better. Where it's like he took
right,
a huge jump, but
yeah,
he
it'll
only
look
has.
like
Yeah, it's like the volume uptick and the minutes uptick. If there's a little bit of uptick in volume per 36 minutes, and then his minutes go from 27 points to 35 points, I mean or 35 minutes, I mean. Right now, per 36, he's averaging 17 points, 7 assists. So, like, if he starts getting those minutes and that he gets a little better and he's getting 19 points and 8 assists,
yeah,
I mean,
it
you
might
are
be
one
like
step away from fringe stardom then at
yeah,
21, 22 years of age. So,
and it might get him some like most improved player.
yeah.
So, like especially if Anthony wasn't on the team next year, I think he'd be a flashy pick for most improved.
Yeah. So, we'll have to wait and see for sure. But
Yeah.
appreciate you, Michael. You got anything else for us?
Yeah.
Because we appreciate your courage calling into the show.
Yeah,
I saw no one else. I was
someone
like,
could do it. Yeah.
guess I got it.
What
No,
What do you
I got
think about
nothing else.
what do you think about your Cowboys losing DeMarcus Lawrence today to the Seahawks?
Man, for what he got, I'm glad we didn't re-sign him. We're probably not doing anything else. We keep on getting former first round picks. Sounds a little familiar with Cronin, but I guess just buy him low.
Sounds like our Niners, man. We are picking up scrubs, so
Yeah, I
it's rough out
mean,
here.
both teams are washed. So I mean,
Yeah. All my teams are
But
washed.
but the
Yeah.
Cowboys like deferred a bunch of money to have some cap space and now screwed themselves in the future too. At least the 49ers aren't doing that right now.
Yeah. Well, the rumor is
Yeah.
the rumor is the
And-
49ers are trying to fund a soccer team that's trying to get back into the Premier League. I don't know
No
if you've
way.
heard that rumor, Eric, but like the Yorks bought
I saw the Grant Cohn thing.
Leeds United or something. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, my football team's going the cheap route because of a soccer team would be hilarious and also like right on par for my fandom. So
sounds great.
at least Jody doesn't own any soccer teams, but she owns the
Yeah.
Seahawks, and she paid Sam Darnold $100 million over 3 years. So
Good for those
So-
Seahawks
it's so
fans.
much
They get a mid
different.
QB.
It's so much different in football. You know you're spending to the cap and still making a crap load of
I
money.
know,
So
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, appreciate you calling in, Michael.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
thank you, Michael. Have a good one.
Alrighty. Shout out to Michael. That was a good question, man. See, that's why we like opening up the phones, because we get good questions that I or you haven't asked before. So we always appreciate that. Shout out to MGJJ123 with a $10 donation. Says, I think our 5 core young future players, Avdia, Sharp, Kamara, Henderson, and Klingon, are exciting. The future is looking a little brighter finally. Thank you guys for what you do. Well, thank you for donating to the show, man. Truly, thank you to everyone who donates to the show. It means the world to us. Appreciate you, MGJJ123. Yeah, the core is fun, man. The core is fun. Just got to see
Yeah.
how they add to it. I'm going to sit here like simming the Tankathon lottery until the Blazers get a top 4 pick. And, yeah, I mean, that's just basically what the Blazers are going to be hoping for is some lottery luck. If they don't get lottery luck, it's going to be really interesting, man. I have a feeling the Blazers are either going to go shooting and get a Con Knipple or Liam McNeely, and if they don't go shooting, it's going to be Colin Murray Boyles.
Mm-hmm.
Like those three guys are, I feel like, very Blazery picks. So if the Blazers don't move up in the lottery, I fully expect one of those guys, assuming the Blazers keep their pick and don't trade it, I fully expect one of those three guys to be the draft pick for the Blazers.
Yeah.
All right, we got Mike Buckets. This is going to be our final caller of the night. We're going to invite him to the stage, and we'll see if he accepts.
What's up, y'all? Can you hear me?
What's up, Mike?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
what's
hear
up,
you.
Mike
Crystal
Buckets?
clear. What's up, man?
How you doing? Good to be on. First question, I was wondering, there's a lot of debate about the MVP race right now. What's your guys' criteria on MVP? Because it's an interesting conversation there. And who would you pick at the moment?
For me, I think winning matters a little bit, but like any MVP candidate is usually going to be on a winning team anyway. I just view it as which player is the most valuable to their team, like from a pure sense of the phrase, so to say. Like, I think Jokic right now is more valuable to his team than any other player is to theirs. Obviously, you have to have statistical production to actually make that claim, but Jokic's statistical production this year is insane, and Denver's been really good, even though Jamal Murray struggled at the start of the season. And just the way he makes everybody around him better, I think like it's a clear-cut pick for me at this point. I know it's the same pick that we've had for a while. I know there's voter fatigue with the MVP award, but for me it's Jokic just because he's the most valuable player to his team. Eric, how would you look at that?
Yeah, I'm pretty much there with you, but then I look at like SGA, the way he just like takes over games like he did tonight, and I think he's got, if I'm not mistaken, is it like 30 plus games he scored over 20 or something? Like pretty remarkable. But then you look at Jokic's stats and it's like, oh my God, this guy is putting up insane numbers and shooting like 44% from three on top of it or something like that. And it's like, oh my God, like I don't know how you differentiate. I don't really have an issue giving it to either guy. I might lean SGA just because I'm not necessarily voter fatigue, but like, I feel like sometimes someone else does deserve to win. And then
Yeah, but you got to earn it.
Right. But yeah, it's. But they're number one by a lot. Like it's not even close. So like.
Yeah, I just think like OKC, if healthy but without SGA, is a top 4 seed in the West. I think the Nuggets without Jokic aren't even a top 10 seed. Well, I guess maybe they'd be 10th because they'd be replacing. Every team would move up one, right? But like that's the difference for me. Is Jokic takes a team that's a like surefire lottery team and makes them a borderline contender to come out of the West, whereas like the Thunder I think would be home court advantage no matter what because you got Chet, you got Jalen Williams, you got all these really good role players, and it's a really well-coached team.
But should SGA be penalized because his GM's made better moves?
It's not a penalty. It's just which player is more valuable.
Yeah.
More valuable to his team, like. I think situational context will always come into play with that.
Yeah,
because it's kind of a situational award. So
I mean, neither team's winning anything without those guys. So they're both.
We can do a chat poll too.
Yeah. I think it's one of the more tight races.
Who would you vote for, man?
This race is. It's honestly really close to me. I think. It's hard not to go Jokic because of how just statistically great his season is compared with the fact that he's literally like the most important and most impactful person to winning basically out of any player. But I do think like SGA is still really important to how good they play because, a lot of the times if SGA is struggling or he's not out there, like getting that consistent offense that, puts them over the top, like with differential, because their defense is obviously really good. And Shea's pretty good on defense too. But the fact that, he can foul bait and, he's basically scoring 30 so efficiently every game, like makes it really easy for them to be as dominant as they are. But yeah, it's a tight race. That's why I asked because it's like it's such a hard question at this point.
No, it's a good question. This is the type of stuff me and Eric don't talk a ton about, so we appreciate the question because it's an interesting debate.
Yeah, yeah. And then the other question I had mainly was okay, so if you had to choose, obviously, Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, that's like the top three consensus right now. Ace Bailey might be dropping a little bit though, but off of just taking away those guys from picks 4 through 10, who would be your most desired candidate at this point?
For the Blazers?
Yeah, if you could just choose from 4 through 10, basically, who would be your favorite pick?
That's a good question. Let me bring up my big board because it's different than our big boards, right? Our big boards is just kind of like a general ranking, but that of course is going to change from team to team. That's why we also do the mock drafts on post games. But I think outside of that, Eric, like let's just say, that top three is off the board. I'm taking VJ Edgecombe next. You would agree with that, right? Or Trey Johnson. You would take Trey Johnson, huh?
For pretty much any other team, I'm taking VJ. For the Blazers, I think VJ and Scoot kind of, we might have that problem where, like, does one of them need to have the ball more to be most effective? Whereas I could see Trey Johnson, like, thriving off the ball a little bit more.
I don't think you worry about a player being
no, I know. I'm just
too good that he needs the ball.
but
because Edgecombe can cut and he's making threes right now, and Scoot's making threes right now. Like I don't view that as much of an issue.
No, I agree, but to me, if you get Scoot to be like an elite point guard at his like best, like I think having the shooting of Trey off ball would be better, but BJ is a better defender and all that, so
helps him get out and run more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like his defense, the types of plays he can make, but then also like him running the floor with Scoot, with Sharp, the athleticism, right? And I just think he has more upside too, so I don't think that's bad to go for. And I think he has a higher floor, so it's hard for me to go against him. So you would go Trey Johnson 4, VJ Edgecombe 5.
I don't know. I'd be close, but I'd probably still pick VJ, but
I'd go VJ Edgecombe 4, Trey Johnson 5. At 6, who would you go at 6? I'd go Derek Queen.
Yeah, I wouldn't have an issue with Queen.
He's your backup behind Klingon, and then if he can learn how to shoot, maybe he can play next to Klingon.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the cleanest fit. Who would you go 7? Would you go at 7? I would probably go Con Knipple.
Over Jonas.
Yeah, I have Jonas higher, but not so much higher that I wouldn't value the fit of Knipple over what could be a weird fit in Jonas.
Yeah. I do really like Asian Newell for the Blazers as well. I think he would factor in at that range too.
Yeah, so I'd go Derek Queen, so VJ Edgecombe 4, Trey Johnson 5, Derek Queen 6, Knipple 7, Asia Newell 8. Are you on board with that?
I think I still go Jonas despite his fit.
I go Jonas 9.
After Queen, and then Newell, and then I like McNeely a little more than Knipple.
I'd probably go McNeely 10th. Or Yeah.
I really like McNeely, but it's just can he make shots at the NBA level? Because I think he's shooting what like under 40% from the field. But like everything else besides that, like I think is like really intriguing because I feel like he can play defense pretty well. He's good size, like to play the three or the four. He can pass a little bit, but it just depends on if he can make shots because that's really what we need right now.
Yeah, he
Like I
is
feel like
under 40%.
I feel like Knipple is gonna be a very solid shooter, and like he's playing within the Duke system, so I feel like he can make the right plays based off of that, but the defense is kind of scary. But for me, if we had like the fourth pick, I think I would take Edgecombe because he I don't know how tall he is, but he seems pretty long. So I feel like if anyone could work at that like undersized three role, if he pans out, I feel like he could do it. And especially if he can figure out how to shoot the three at like a 36% rate, I feel like he could be really good. Like if he could shoot the three at like a 36 to 38% level, like he could be a star.
Yeah,
So
I am wondering if he like can be that undersized guy that's so good defensively and so competitive that he could guard some threes in the league. I just think he's going to come in at 6'3", which is going to make it tougher. I know he's listed as 6'5", but like Sharp being 6'5" with a 7-foot wingspan, you hope that Sharp could maybe guard some of those guys. Like, yeah, fit long term's a little weird, but you'd hope that they can play together, and if not, eventually you'll just pick two of the three and move the third, which is fine. So I think like once you get down below, I mean, I do like Colin Murray Boyles more and more the more I like watch some tape on him and pay attention to his defense. I do think he's going to be a solid NBA player, but he's just not the type for this Blazer team. So I also would take a chance on like a Hugo, maybe at 10 or 11, a Hugo Gonzalez or a Noah Senge. Those couple of guys. Maluach, if you just wanted to completely shore up your center rotation, it just feels like he and Klingon couldn't play together, so you're kind of spending two lottery picks on two guys that would play an average of 24 minutes a game, so it's probably not the best use of assets. So yeah, no, that's a good question. I might get around to making a Blazer big board compared to my like normal big board because it's definitely different, especially in this draft.
yeah, because it changes things because of fit.
Yeah,
And it's like especially important right now for the Blazers. Like the fit is like the most important thing, I feel like.
yeah.
Because we're kind of in where we have players that can, be very, very good. Shadon, Scoot, Denny. It's like they're all kind of questionable about how good that they'll eventually get to. So I feel like that like means that fit is like a lot more important. But
Yeah, yeah. It's either star or shooting. Like somebody with star potential or shooting. I think Derek Queen has some star potential. That's why I put him as high as I did. I think Edgecombe, Trey Johnson does as well. After that, it starts to get iffy. That's why I have Knipple at 7 because then it's just you're going for shooting with somebody that can do a little bit else and would play the same role he's playing at Duke right now for us, and he's been really good in that role, and he's part of the reason why Duke is the number one team ranked right now in the country. So. Yeah, that's the logic behind it. But no, appreciate the good questions, man. Good to talk to you. Thank you for calling in, brother.
Yeah, thanks,
yeah,
Michael.
of course. Yeah, you guys have a thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Alrighty. Shout out to Mike and Michael. We had a Mike and a Michael.
Michael and Michael.
Yeah. Sometimes the Discord delay, there's like I think a second delay, and sometimes that makes it a little weird. But appreciate you guys calling in. I wish Discord didn't have whatever that delay is, but yeah, no, appreciate it. And yeah, it's been a good postgame show, man. It's been a good postgame show. Real quick, one final thing I want to look at before we end the stream. We're going to be live tomorrow, by the way, on our second channel. We're going to pick the day's games, and then we won't be live until Sunday. But let me pull this up here. And I just want to look at like odds to win the NBA championship because there's a couple lines that I like, Eric, over on BetUS. All right, there we go. Let me hide the score. If I can remember how to do that, there we go. Hide the score. All right. So, favorite line from the West and favorite line, or let's just say the top two lines that you like, Eric. That's my question. You can think about it while I talk about mine. You can let me know if you agree or if you have different lines you like over on BetUS. We got the Celtics plus 190 right now. The Thunder at plus 200. Do you think the Celtics or the Thunder should be the favorite is my first question. Because I would probably go with the Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you're picking who you think is going to win, I think it's different. But I think Boston, as the defending champion, you can make a case they're just kind of coasting through this season. They're sitting, Porzingis has been out with some mysterious illness, and they've been sitting a lot of their players, Tatum a lot recently and stuff like that. So I think you can make the case they're just kind of making sure they're okay for the playoffs. But
the Cavs, I think, are a bigger test than anybody the Thunder is going to face in the West. I think the West has more depth, but I don't think the Thunder is going to lose to the 8th seed, right? So, it's
like, yeah, I think you make the case that the Cavs are pretty much the only team that's going to – I mean, that's Knicks team with Brunson back and, Dame and Giannis, I guess, maybe. But, I mean – I don't think many other teams scare you, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get plus 550 on the team with the best record in the league that would have home court throughout the entire playoffs, I think that's a pretty dang good line. Like, they're noticeably better line than Thunder or Boston. I also, like, if there's going to be a Cinderella long shot run, kind of like Dallas last year, in terms of a line I like for that, Memphis at plus 5,000, that feels a little low. When healthy,
Bucks are plus 5,000 too.
Yeah, see, like, who would you like more, the Bucks or the Grizzlies? Like, who do you think would have a better shot? Because I would probably take the Grizzlies, unfortunately for Dame.
Yeah, I guess it's just like the West. There's so many teams that would have a legit chance, I guess, but especially if the Thunder got knocked out by someone.
Yeah, which they did last year.
Yeah. Man, but yeah, I kind of like both of those odds actually, plus 5,000.
Yeah, I think Denver too at plus 1,400. You got the best player in the league, and they've done it before. They have the experience. Plus 1,400 is pretty good line, man. That means if you place $100 down, you get 1,400 if they win it all. I think those are pretty good odds. And then you use code YouTube 150, and you get that 150% bonus, and it's even more. And then you can put that back in with those two 125% bonuses on your first 3 deposits up to 2,000. That's how you really win here. But chat, let me know what lines you like the most. I think Denver at plus 1,400 is a good line. I think Cleveland at plus 550 is a good line. And then if you really want to take a shot, like Memphis plus 5,000 is also a good one.
Warriors at 1,400.
Yeah.
I kind of like just putting a few dollars down, like not a huge bet, but like on a team like the Timberwolves at plus 8,000, like, because they get going to the playoffs like the Edwards did last year. I know they don't have Cat anymore, but
yeah, Clippers even. You got Kawhi, you got some veteran talent. Like, they've barely been healthy all year, but still been competitive. Plus 8,000 is just really, really good odds. You place down 10, you could win 800, for example, at a plus 8,000 line. So, anyway.
Yeah.
The action all available on BetUS. Shout out to them for sponsoring the postgame. Anything else that you want to cover in the stream? We've had a pretty full stream here.
No, thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate you all. I don't know if I'm going to make the stream tomorrow, but if not, I'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, that'll be Selection Sunday, so we'll talk a little bit about the bracket. By the way, if you want to join my $20 buy-in bracket pool, send me a message on Discord or Twitter. Discord or Twitter, let me know. My mom won it last year, so if you want my mom to take your money in a bracket pool, it's a great privilege. Great privilege. Then you can just message me and you'll be able to join. Anyway, yeah, picks against spread tomorrow, and then we'll be live again on Sunday. We got a 3-day layoff. I'm going to finally have a couple of days without Rec League because my season's over for Saturday, for weekends. No Rec League and no Blazer game because it's been like 3.5 weeks straight where every night it's either a Blazer game with a post game or a Rec League game. So, and I went out with a bang my last game, man. We had 62 points and I had probably 50 of them in my weekend league, bro. It was ridiculous. So I'm gonna put together a better team next session, Eric. Putting together a better team.
Nice.
You included.
All right, I'll be there.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So, yeah. MVP poll. What went to Nikola Jokic with 58% of the vote. So pretty evenly split. 58% for Jokic, 42% for SGA out of 46 votes. Shout out to those of you who voted in that poll. Also, leave a like on the stream. We're at 79 likes. I didn't do a like poll this stream, and look at the difference, Eric. So leave a like on the stream. Let's get it to 100 before we get out of here. It's the easiest way to support the channel. You can also support the channel by becoming a channel member like Medina088. Member for 13 months says, drop a like. Exactly. I agree, Medina. Drop a like. Thank you for being a channel member. Click the join button below if you want to become a channel member. We'll be live again tomorrow on the second channel. Link in the description for that. Discord's down there. TikTok's down there. I'm going to start doing more on TikTok over the rest of the season because I'm going to need to do more there soon. So you can follow on there. You can follow our Instagram, all that good stuff down in the description box below. And we're good, Eric. Go to bed, Eric. You got to wake up at 4:30. It's 12:10 a.m. Overtime game. The Blazers lose to the Knicks off of Mikal Bridges' buzzer beater in a hard-fought game that saw Scoot Henderson play great. 30 points for him, busting out of his slump. Denny Avdia, another efficient scoring night for him, albeit with some turnovers. You had 27, 15, and 5 from Denny with 7 turnovers. Very similar stat line to last game. 8 for 18 for the field, 4 for 8 from 3. He was good. And Shane Sharp, 8 for 18, 21 points, 9 boards. This was a solid game from your Blazers despite the loss of the Knicks, even without Jalen Brunson. Got a lot of star power, a lot of big names, and they're well coached by Tom Thibodeau. So, tough loss tonight in Moda Center off that buzzer beater, but it's a good tanking loss, and the Blazers are now tied for 8th best odds in the lottery. So we'll see how that picture changes before Sunday when the Blazers take on the Raptors. That'll be a good opportunity to tank. We'll see if they take it or if they get a blowout win. Anyway, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the post-game show. We are out of here until we catch you next. As always, peace out. Go Blazers!